we explore foam swords for HEMA training. This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed. We recently looked at foam katanas and tested in how far they could be used for training martial arts with katanas. This time, we will look at other foam weapons, mostly made for cosplay, and check whether they are useful ones for training HEMA, so historical European medieval martial arts. And of course, the first franchise that comes into mind is Sword Art Online. In fact, Sword Art Online somehow opened this market of foam katanas or foam swords in general. The first ones that were available, at least in Europe, were in fact these ones from Sword Art Online, at least with a certain quality, and therefore it should not be surprising that indeed swords from Sword Art Online can be used for a lot of things. Unfortunately, and that's something that you can see here because we are using two dark repulsors, the one that is missing the crossguard is simply the older one because it has been longer in use and the crossguard often rips off. I think that's an advantage of many of the foam katanas. The tsuba is either very small or at least it does never protrude as far as one of the crossguards, and that makes it much more sturdy. In many of the newer cosplay swords that have a European style, the crossguards additionally have a piece of wire or a very short glass fiber core inside that makes it a bit more sturdy. But even there, we have seen that they rip off, and then it might be even more dangerous because then this core can stick out. So in general, the Sword Art Online swords are very, very good for training because their shape is indeed very close to what we want from a typical German sword or European sword in general. But you have to be aware that the crossguards might come off. It's not a major problem. You can fix that for training with duct tape. That's well possible. If you're interested in having them looking good, then it's not optimal. You can also see we often had to tape or duct tape the tips because they also rip off, but that's a known phenomenon that we, for example, also have in LARP swords. So the big advantage is really availability. As I said, the shape is very nice and very good, and you have a certain variation among the different Sword Art Online swords, so you can choose the exact shape you like, and also if you're thinking for cosplay, you can choose the certain color you like. And therefore, I'm really happy that Sword Art Online opened this market. I'm not a particular fan of the anime. I'm not so super deep into the storyline, and the fightings are not to my liking. That's mostly my point of critique here. But the swords are nice and I am happy about that. I indicated that Sword Art Online opened the market for these types of swords. There's in fact one older type of cosplay sword that has been easily available, for example, on Amazon, and that's the Master Sword from Zelda. It's a bit different in the overall making. There are now newer versions. I have a small one that is very similar to the Sword Art Online swords in the overall finish. The full-sized one that I have is somehow more LARPy in feeling, so it's a bit more squishy. The finish doesn't feel as hard as with the Sword Art Online swords. They are definitely too hard for LARP. The Zelda sword is a bit softer, but also this means that the color chips off a bit, and also the tip had to be fixed with duct tape because it came off. Then we could also see what's inside, and unlike the other swords, this is not a fiberglass core. This is a kind of a tube of unknown origin. It's a kind of plastic that gives it some stability. Overall, this is not a bad sword. You can definitely train with it. The squishiness feels a bit strange compared to a normal sword and also in comparison to the other anime swords, but it's okay. And so far we did not rip off the crossguard, which is mentionable because we definitely ripped off the crossguards of several Sword Art Online swords. Availability is the same as with the Sword Art Online swords. Zelda is a very widespread phenomenon, so these types of swords, you can get them basically everywhere, online, even in a lot of shops. You can find them used to a certain degree, which means it's definitely possible to get it rather cheap, and for testing it out, it's definitely worth a try. Next up is a sword from Dark Souls, and I have to say this one is really to my liking because it differs a bit from the other ones, and that means it brings a bit of variation in. It's mostly concerning the blade shape. The swords from Sword Art Online don't have a lot of taper. That's what also, for example, Cell Sword Arts have been pointing out. And the Dark Souls sword has a really nice tapering. That means it's a bit pointy, so you have to be careful. Don't poke somebody else in the eye with that. That can really damage something. That's a general thing with the cosplay swords. They are not loud swords. They are softer than polypropylene weapons, and they are lighter and they have a bit more give, but they are not as soft as the loud weapons. Due to the pointiness of the Dark Souls sword, also the weight distribution is different, and so it's a really fast sword. That definitely makes a difference. The crossguard is a bit stubby and short, but that's probably also something that will help, or that has helped so far, that it was not ripped off. One point of critique, but that applies in fact to all the ones we have looked at, the handles are round. That's a general phenomenon that you can see. Round handles on a lot of cosplay weapons. I don't know where this idea comes from, because with the cosplay katanas this is not the case, but with the European weapons this is very common. Advantage is you can of course use your thumb hold very well without having an awkward feel, and this can correct for the problem of the round handle. Another very famous sword that we can come up with next is the Sword of Omen from Thundercats, and it of course also has a very European feel to it, and it differs from the other swords because the handle is rather short. It is also round. The blade is relatively heavy for a foam sword. It's still dense and not very soft. So if you're looking for something that can push away the other swords for training, this could be an interesting one. The handle is not very comfortable because it's very much like in the original, and there are little bumps and humps on it, as you could see it within the original cartoon series, and that doesn't feel too great, and also the pommel shape is not very comfortable. For a one-handed use, it's a bit top heavy, so you would like to place two hands on it, but it's not super comfortable. The crossguard has not come off with this one as well. It's a bit sturdy. My point of critique here is, and that's a classic one, the crossguard is closing towards the middle of the blade, and then there is this red magic symbol there that prohibits that a blade of the opponent could slide in. It looks like it could catch a blade, but it really can't. So, that's not it. We have many more swords to look at, and so therefore there will be a part 2. So far, we hope we could inspire you a bit, and see you around next time.